thinks he would fight you, and why? Over what?
We'll find out someday. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben Stecker. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Joining me today from Georgia, producer Candice.
Hey, cool intro here, and I'm burnt.
Kansas City, Mr. Tim Herron.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Cool hat.
It is a cool hat. It's like if Batman had a hat. This Tim walked into the hat store. He's like, "You got a plain hat?" And they show him this hat. He's like, "That's awesome." He's like, "Does it come in black?"
That's right.
Boom. That's the hat.
That's right.
All right. Today we are talking about target accountability. So over at pistoltraining.com, one of my favorite websites. Not a joke. I'm being serious. You turd.
What? It was awesome, man.
An interesting article posted a while back. We kind of missed it because we had to talk about other stuff that was going on. But an article about target accountability, basically imploring you to make sure you paste your fucking targets, and you have to know where every shot goes. Tim Herron, you read this article in the pre-show. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything. Especially, he goes into talking about like pasting bad hits only, and obviously as a means of accountability on the bad hits, and being able to account for the good hits by obviously you're going to put a ton of holes in the A zone. I do the same thing. So.
Wait, which thing do you do? Do you leave A's?
Yeah, I leave A's, and I paste out bad ones. Now, again, though, it's kind of like, as Todd talks about, too, is it depends on what I'm doing. I mean, if I'm doing group shooting or something like that, well, yeah, then I'll shoot a group of, 8 to 10 rounds or whatnot, and then check out the target, paste everything up, and do it over again. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything on it. I think he's pretty direct about it.
Well, who is this for then? Right? Because there are people out there, and I know, not pasting their targets. Like I want to know where every bullet goes that I fire. Candice, I imagine you're the same way.
Yeah, but I paste even the A's. I don't know why wouldn't you paste the A's? I mean, don't you kind of want to know where they went anyway?
What do you think, Tim?
Or is it just a simple like saving time and saving pasters or something like that?
And that's for me. I mean, I don't know. If I'm training and I'm shooting 400 or 500 rounds in a single day or something, like crazy like a couple weeks ago, then yeah, I'm gonna paste.
500? Is that a lot?
Oh.
500 in one day? Is that a full day?
1,000.
Like
1,000 was a lot for me.
I shot with Tim a couple weeks ago. He's like, my hands hurt.
Hell yeah.
You shoot 45 out of a 1911. What are you crazy?
Ass by the afternoon. But yeah, I mean, I can see obviously the benefit of them pasting in between every single drill or every round, so that every skill set and being able to paste between every single string, so that and take accountability for every single shot. So I definitely see the benefit of that. So I mean, if I'm at a Sienna shoot range and I'm working on, and I'm thinking that's kind of what a lot of maybe what Todd's article is talking about, is for the guys at, I don't know, maybe a Sienna shoot range, or they're doing some reload drills, or they're doing some Dryfire drills or things like that. If I'm trying to draw to a simple A, I'm not worried about like exactly where that A is, as long as it's an A, and then I'll run that drill 10, 15 times or whatnot, and then I'll reel the target in and paste it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely can see the accountability. I want to know where every single shot counts too, but I think it's relative to what you're trying to do.
What about Candice? Are you in the paste every run on every drill? Holy shit!
That takes forever. No wonder you're at the range for
lazy.
like 6 and 7 hours.
Oh my god. I think in fairness to Candice, it is best practice for USPSA practice. It is the best idea is probably to paste every run, right, that you do. So you're going to see where every hit goes. But for me, just to save time, like, ain't nobody got time for that, like for me. So.
I hope to be so awesome and good one day that I don't need to paste every time either.
Well, you shouldn't have to paste every time. I mean, if you can shoot a target, and let's say you shoot it 2 or 3 strings, and you know, okay, I shot 2 A's the first time, and then lo and behold, the next time there's an A and a Charlie, then you know, okay, well, should I shoot an Alpha Charlie the second time around? Then you can shoot it a third string, and then lo and behold, there's 2 more Charlies, or there's a Charlie Delta.
Yeah, I understand.
You know
I understand the concept in
every
general.
single time. That's
Well, for me, it depends a lot on what I'm doing. So if I'm doing bill drills, if we're doing bill drills at like
yeah, I actually
3
did not
yards,
paste. I did
let's
bill
just
drills
say-
and I did not paste it every single time.
So if it's at 3 yards, I could shoot 200 or 300 rounds on one target and maybe not paste at all. It wouldn't happen because it's not unlikely in 200 or 300 rounds that I wouldn't drop any points. It's not unrealistic to think that might happen. Or maybe
if it's 25
maybe a couple
yards,
slip
maybe
up.
you would.
If it's 25 yards, I would probably be disinclined to shoot more than one run on a target without pasting it. I would probably again depending on what I'm doing. If I'm like if I'm making a point of driving alphas where I'm being very deliberate on the shooting, I might go multiple runs. But if I'm shooting the least little bit, pushing it or kind of letting it hang out at all, where there's any possibility that there's going to be shots leaving the target that I want to know about, I would paste every run. So really, to me, it really depends on what you're doing. You know, depends a lot.
right.
Okay.
When you could start to cheat, but I think we probably all agree that the best advice for people, the simplest thing to do is just paste every run, right? So you see where everything's going.
Right.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay.
And the
Also,
kind
I
of people who don't do that are people who, I don't know, they're just so, I don't know, cheap or something to get more than one target or something. I don't know. Doesn't seem like
one thing I'll point out, when people start getting really loose is when they're shooting at steel targets that don't fall and that they don't paint. That's when it starts to be difficult to tell where bullets are going, and you might think that I heard a ding or something, so I think I hit that one. But it could be tough to tell during rapid fire, like what you're hitting and where. So that would be something that I could see USPSA shooters fucking up. But I mean, the article was directed at tactical training classes where apparently they.
Yeah, I've heard
they
people paint like you spray paint and spray dots on a piece of paper, and that's your target for the whole class or something. I was like,
God,
what?
that's
And
awful
how much
weird.
should I
mean,
pay for that class?
Yeah, you pay $500-600 and you get like what, 1 53-cent paper target to shoot at for the entire weekend. What the hell?
No, Tim.
Awesome.
But you're
So
gonna
real world,
you're gonna
man.
shred that target, dude.
Man, the whole
You're gonna-
goal
you're
is
gonna
to
think
destroy
of it.
that entire piece of paper with.
It's like that carnival game where you got to shoot the whole star out with the BB gun.
That's exactly.
By the end of the weekend, you have to shoot the whole painted circle out.
Oh my God.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that
Wow.
shit works. All right, Candice,
Anyway.
let's move on to some shooting questions. Oh, of course, if you want to read that article, Candice, it's link
Yep.
it up in the show notes.
Okay, so the first question is, I start each daily Dryfire training session with 10 minutes of gun handling fundamentals. 4 aces, Blake drills, executing a reload while taking a sideways step, etc., before moving to more complicated drills. And I have noticed incremental improvements in consistency and speed. However, I know that these skills are not the worst part of my shooting game. Should I practice them less frequently, or should I continue with what I am doing since they are a fundamental part of the game?
Yeah, keep doing the shit that you've been doing, and you'll get better someday. No, obviously that's stupid. Yes, you should change up what you're doing.
I agree.
I really don't. I get a lot of emails that contain in them somewhere with like every single practice session I do X, and I don't like that. So I like to change up the practice. I don't like the idea of starting your practice with the same.
I would totally lose the will to live.
What?
If I had to do the same exact drill every day. That sounds like work, man.
No, it's not that it's work. You gotta think about the mindset that a lot of guys have, though. It's the same thing we kind of talked about a while back. You know, people want to practice the stuff that they're good at, and the shit that's hard is kind of like, oh well, you know, like who practices transfers to weak hand, or strong hand draws and things like that.
Is that the stuff you consider hard, Tim?
In Dryfire, I don't necessarily consider that stuff hard, but it's
okay.
But you know exactly what I mean, though. Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't think it's hard anymore because that's what he does all the time.
Nah, I don't.
He starts every practice session.
That's exactly right.
Transfers.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
10 minutes.
Like, oh yeah,
yeah.
That's yeah.
Okay, I get it. So anyway, yes, you should change up your practice. If you know enough to know what the worst part of your shooting game is, yeah, fucking practice that stuff. That's a smart thing to do. I'd say this: if you're practicing now the same way that you practiced a year ago, you're probably doing it wrong. So if you've got the same routine for a year, change it because you're fucking up. All right, Tim. Anything else to say on that question?
No, that hit the nail right on the head. That's the main thing, is constantly keep changing. The minute you think like, oh, yeah, I've got it figured out and this is the way to go, as you and I discussed a couple of weeks ago, my training had become stagnant because I was used to kind of just sticking to the same kind of things, you know.
Is that what I said to you?
Well, that's what I said to you. Is obviously you train way different, but it opened my mind up to a lot of different ways I should have been training and things I should have been focused on that I wasn't before. So it was good.
Yes, good. All right, Candice, hit the next question.
The second question is, analyzing stages in stage programming are, in my opinion, important skills that every shooter should master. Coincidentally, I also suck at both. How do you work on these skills other than shooting matches? Do you feel it is useful to practice these skills on the range or during Dryfire? And if so, how?
All right, good. That's the important part of the question?
Yeah, that's the important part. Then he complains about it being hard to do.
Oh, what a pussy. All right, so you can work on stage programming. You can program very complicated stages in Dryfire at your house. So the ideal scenario is setting up a bunch of targets in a stage-like fashion and memorizing the layout and moving through smoothly and repeating it over and over again, and then changing the layout and then memorizing that change. Now, if you can't do that, you might have to compromise. You might have to go with less targets and maybe engage the targets multiple times, something like that, as you move about a room and work on flowing through that way. Maybe you can't use targets. Maybe you have to use light switches or some kind of shit like that. Those are all things that you can practice.
So Ben, do you think it's important to have multiple shooting positions when you're doing something like this? Like a lot of them?
Well,
barriers, vision barriers, something like that?
Well, like I said, the ideal scenario is having a lot of stuff. So you'd want to, I mean, let's say this. The ideal scenario would be dry firing stages that you see at a match. So it's like going to the range and dry firing stages and practicing visualizing them. That would be ideal. So whatever you can do to do that at home, that'll work out pretty well. I've seen some video of Tim's basement. Yeah, tons of shit down there. Like that's the sort of thing that would be helpful for your stage visualization. As far as stage breakdown, one lesson I think that's really important to learn is that as long as your execution's good, you can kind of break it down in any logical way that makes sense. It's gonna be pretty okay to shoot it that way. So setting up little 4 or 5 target scenarios at the range, a couple positions, few targets, and work it a bunch of different ways, and you'll probably prove to yourself that no matter how you do it, the time doesn't change a whole lot. So that's going to help your confidence a lot, because you can walk through the stage like, hey, I'm going to shoot this way, makes sense to me. I know this is okay to do it this way, so I'm just going to do it this way, and this will be fine.
Right.
All right, Tim, what do you think?
I agree. The other thing to do, especially just to like stage breakdown too, and it's something you can just think about when you're walking through stages, even at a local match too, is just to kind of remember a couple little tips. I guess would be to, if you have to cross over the same targets 2 or 3 times, that stage plan is probably not it's probably not the best stage plan. Right. Or if there's, if you have to go to a corner, but then back out of that corner to go someplace else, and you're crossing your path again 2 or 3 times, find something that flows a little bit better. So, as far as in my house and things like that, I mean, my downstairs, that's other than the kids utilize a part of that room too. I'll use up the whole damn basement and do all kinds of stuff. I'll put targets on the left wall, the right wall. I'll do things, running down range versus, and retreating back and working reloads into things and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely helpful, especially it's kind of the same thing. I think, Ben, you mentioned something about that too. Like if you don't have a whole lot of room to move around, but yeah, just set up a target engagement and be like, okay, I'm going to engage, let's say center, left, right, and then the next time I'm gonna engage it right, left, center, and the next time I'll engage it, right, center, left, and so on and so forth, and just make it a memory game to where you don't give yourself much time to do anything other than just engage it once and then move on.
Right. I think one thing I should point out is I don't think that the visualization part of the stage, that's almost a totally separate game from shooting. Like if you make a visualization error where you don't memorize the stage properly to where you can execute your shooting skills fundamentally, like that is an error made before the buzzer goes off. So you can almost kind of separate that from shooting and just get used to memorizing target sequences and that sort of thing. That's the whole thing that you're trying to do. Memorize target sequences.
What kind of exercises can you do with that aren't?
Well, it's just what Tim talked about, is where you make it a memory game with the targets. You visualize the memory game of like what order you're going to shoot the target. So like left to right load, right to left load, center left right load, center right left, right? So that's a shooting sequence, but you'd visualize that a whole bunch, and then you test yourself by dry firing it and executing it without any mistakes. You see what I mean, Candice?
No, I'm incredulous that would actually help you do a stage better.
Well, it's helping you visualize a stage better.
Right. It's helping you program the sequence of events that is about to unfold when the buzzer goes off. It's helping you program that into memory so that all you have to do then is just execute your shooting skills with that program. That's it.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Well, Candice, we'll try it this way. Is there any fundamental difference between run over here and shoot this, run over here and shoot that, run over there and shoot that stuff? Like that sounds like a stage, right?
Yes.
Right. So instead of having the running around, you would just stand there and do a reload, and you would shoot stuff in a particular order that you predetermine. So it's helping you visualize that stuff, get used to visualizing it, and then you kind of spit it back out when the buzzer goes off. Makes sense now?
It makes sense. I don't know. It seems unsatisfactory. That's all.
No, you're like, you want it to be more like a stage.
Yeah.
And you dry fire in whole stages.
Yeah.
Right. So just keep doing that. So that sounds even better. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
All right, Tim. Anything else to say about that?
I think we've covered it. That sounds not much else to have to add to that.
Right. Good. If you want to hit up Tim Herron and make some height jokes, find him on Facebook. If you want to hit up,
short. He's small too. I mean, he's
Oh,
proportional.
holy shit.
He's proportional.
Open mouth,
I don't know how you got that information, Candice, but that's nice.
Well, I met Pamela and Tim.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
All right.
I didn't mean anything bad.
If you'd like to make sexist remarks about Candice, head over to the YouTube channel. She's taking those now. And if you want to send a podcast question, go to benstecker.com. Send me your podcast question. Oh my! Or if you've got questions about why Candice is so inappropriate, you can send those to me too.